All right, friends, let's see what's going on in Flamesland, where all of a sudden Rasmus Andersson, Rasmussen. Okay, so apparently Connie, his crew, Rasmus, his crew, going to get together and, last year your deal. You need a raise.
Yeah.
Happy to give you a raise. What are you wanting on your next contract? And here's what we think would be fair on your next contract. Ryan Pike's got the latest, flamesnation.ca. Writers be writing.
Exchange contract extension numbers this week.
This week, going to happen. All right, guys?
You think they just sit down at a table with a pen and sticky notes and kind of, here's what I would like. Ooh, here's our counter.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Here's my
I love
counter.
it because, it's we're going to start really high and we'll start really low.
Yeah.
But no one get offended because there's room to move.
What does he make now? Sorry.
4.55.
4 point, was it?
4.55.
Okay.
Last year of his deal.
Right.
And it would be really difficult to figure out his market rate here as the cap looks to skyrocket. Like I look at the Pionk deal, the Chikrin deal, like he's going to be between $7 and $9 million a year.
I was going to say, if Rasmus were to slide the first post-it note over, what do you think is on that post?
So we're talking the money, not the
This is
years.
what both. This is what
Okay.
this is what we would be happy with.
It's going to go 9 times 8.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's the first note. Like you're not going to start giving higher numbers later. So I would think you would open with
8 years,
times
9 million.
Yeah.
And what do you think if it were flipped? You know what, Rasmus? Here's where we're prepared to go.
6 times 8.
6 times 7.5.
6 times 8.
6 times 7.
6 times 7.
7.5. You're going to start low. You might get there, but I don't think you start there. 7 even.
So with that in mind, purely hypothetical, is there common ground there?
How big is the gap? Is
6
the
versus if it's 6 versus 8 years and 9 million against 7.5, is that a bridgeable?
Well, I guess
they won't give him a 6-year deal in Calgary. I think Conroy will have the 8 years in there.
So then 8 times what? Because we got to adjust the number, right?
I said 8 times 6.
Okay, so that's 48 million, and Rasmus wants 72 million. That's a significant gap.
Sorry, so I had you backwards then. You were doing 8 years at 6 million.
Well, the benefit is the 8 years for Rasmus to stay in
Right.
Calgary, right? So Flames know it. They might not give it to him, but that's going to be the temptation.
Sure. He's going to be 37 when an 8-year deal expires. This is his one shot in his career to taste free agency if he gets any sort of term here. Now, maybe he ages like fine wine, and at 37, he can get another 1 or 2 year deal or something. But if we're being realistic, he's at his entry level. They signed him to a long-term value deal for the Flames where he made 4.5. Much of that time he spent as a top 4 defenseman. That's a deal. And now, as he's set to turn 29 next season, this is his expiry, his last and probably only chance at free agency. I think there will be a significant gap, and Rhett's numbers compared to the Rasmus numbers, that presents a $24 million gap.
I was going to say, is it pretty, well,
that's a big gap. I don't think the back gap will be that big, but I think it'll be big.
Yeah, when you go over 8 years and you start to do that math, that's
3 times 8 is 24. That's the gap.
Yeah.
If you're going 6 a year versus 9 a year times 8 years, ooh. All of a sudden you're like, yeah, you know what? It's been great. And I guess if everyone's being honest with himself, Rasmus would be best served to be in a place where he's got a chance to win a cup in the next 3 to 4 years before we really start to worry about his age, right? We don't expect 34, 35, 36-year-old Rasmus to be better than 30, 31, 32, right? That's
He doesn't have to be. He just has to be able to keep up, because at that point the cap's going to have risen enough, and he's not going to be a number 1 or 2. If he's your number 4 at that time, I don't know.
He's a right side second pair guy probably on a contender right now, right?
Yep.
If you're a real good team, they go put him in Dallas. Like that would have helped them a ton.
Yeah,
they had
he's a top 4
Labushkin and Dumba and Cece and all these hacks on the right side. They needed a good right shot guy. So I guess how big the gap is, how far people are willing to move, the Flames being honest with how close they are to contending. And when are we going to be good? And is Rasmus still good then? And Rasmus saying, I can help a team win now. Is this team ready to win now? Like, I might be alone. I don't think I am, but I believe there's just going to be you know what? The timing doesn't line up here. There would be other universes where I stay a max term and it's perfect fit. It just doesn't look like a fit to me to where the Flames are at and where Rasmus's career is at.
You would love to be somehow on both.
The fly on the wall.
Yeah, because what do you think the offers? They're going to have a rough idea, but is there a chance that one side's, well, that's higher or lower than what we were expecting to hear at this point?
What's Pionk's deal in Winnipeg?
I think it's 7 times 6. And Chychrun's 8 times 9. That's how this works, right? You provide comps. And because it's like, well, hey, there's a similar player in today's era with the same knowledge we have today about the cap growing, playing a similar role to you. Here's what that deal was worth. Jacob Chychrun signed, he's heading into year 1 of an 8-year deal, just signed, $9 million a year. He was going to be a UFA this summer. He signs to stay in Washington. Capitals, $9 a year for Chychrun.
And how old is Chick? He's younger.
Chick Dog's a year younger. He's 27. Now, I haven't done the birthday thing. Maybe it's a year and a half, but you get my point. They're not dissimilar. And so if you're Rasmus, you're saying, yeah, okay, Jacob scores more than me, but there's some things I do better than him. Jacob could be a little bit of a circus in his own zone. And I think Jacob's a real good player, but he's just going to say, look, I can provide some things that he can't.
Rasmus was 29 in October.
Yeah. So he's 28. Chychrun's 27. Now, Pionk on the other side, that's the deal that the Flames will be like, yeah, we'll keep you if you sign the Pionk deal. He was the guy that came over in the Jacob Trouba deal when Trouba had wanted out for Winnipeg forever. There's no way the Jets can win this deal. Pionk's been the better player since that expired. Trouba was dumped for cap space essentially this season to Anaheim. He's not been a top 4 guy. Pionk had a sensational season. He and Sandberg and Morrissey have been phenomenal there. He is in year 1 now, heading into, of a 6-year deal worth $7. So if Rasmus, if you can convince his camp that he's a Neil Pionk, I think that's a deal that can get done. But if Rasmus's camp is trying to convince you that he's a Jacob Chychrun contract, I don't think the deal gets done. And that's sort of the goalposts I think we're working with in here.
How old's Pionk?
29. Rasmus will turn that in the fall, as you know.
Yeah. October 27th, he becomes 29. And in some ways,
think Rasmus would hold himself in higher regards than Pionk, but I don't know if he should.
They're both right shot guys on the second pair. Yeah. And again, I do think the backdrop of him being on a team-friendly deal for the last 6 years and his one cut at free agency. Like John Tavares, he's made his $77 million, and now he's in free agency again. He doesn't have to chase top dollar, but Rasmus agents can be like, listen, buddy, this is your chance to set up your family for generations. It's $72 million or it's $56 million. That's a huge gap.
And this is where you weigh it all, when you're Anderson in this situation. You're like, oh, yeah, I think he likes Calgary.
I agree.
But what is Calgary offering him that's better than anywhere else? Nothing.
Yeah, they're not more of a contender. It's not a better tax climate than there are out there. It isn't
Travel's
a better
not better. It's not better lifestyle.
He owns a home here and he lives here and doesn't have to move. That's the biggest thing that they can offer him. He likes it here and he's already here.
And the extra year, I guess.
Yeah.
The other thing
in the life cycle of the Flames, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Yeah, like the Jets won a President's Trophy. The Capitals were an elite team.
They both won their conferences.
So for both of those guys, you would think that's
status quo is great.
Yeah.
We're doing lots of winning. So if Rasmus believes this is a 96-point team that's going to be better this year.
Well, both of them have moved. So they Chychrun moved twice where it's like, no, I'm absent. And he got top dollar, I think. But
yeah, I agree. And so that brings us to our next article. As
are there more? Right.
Matt Larkin of Daily Faceoff, part of our Danish-owned subsidiary network of 6 trade destinations to watch for Flames Rasmus Andersson. Larkin goes on to build compelling cases for Carolina.
Don't spoil it. Go read it.
Actually, I want to hear.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, there's no chance he's going to
Rhett, will you go and read this article?
Nope.
Okay.
We're
Can't
encouraging
find it.
you
It's
to read that,
blocked in
Larson.
it's blocked. Trump has it blocked in
Right.
the States.
That's right. Yeah, we can't be letting this filthy.
Don't you have one of those
Tariffs, don't you know, Dean?
those internet blocker deals?
Yeah,
you have to have a wide variety of those, I would think.
You got some VPN. You can tell them you're in Andorra. Block Andorra. What's that island with the penguins? They got the tariffs off that.
Give me the answers. What are the teams?
I'm not in Buffalo. I'm in Beirut.
That's silly. Silly you.
Go ahead.
Falafel here is unbelievable.
Carolina?
Carolina. They, of course, have 6 first-rounders the next 4 years. All their own plus 2 from Dallas. Okay. They also are losing potentially Orlov, maybe Burns on the back end. They also have young, fresh NHL defenseman Scott Morrow and Nikishin. So there was lots of pieces that would theoretically work. Or Carolina is like, we already got these young guys. We don't need to be paying more. We love value deals for Carolina. Team 2, Columbus, over $40 million in cap space. Provorov's a UFA. Fabro's a UFA. If those guys want out, you're going to need some D. Dallas, we talked about it. Ceci, Dumba, Labushkin, not good players. Way over their skis on the right side. Probably cost them a trip to the final. Do they have the cap space? Well, they do have Maverick Bork, who needs a new deal and an offer sheet candidate. Could you pry Maverick Bork out of there? Don't have much cap space. That's the caveat for the Stars. Detroit, $21 million in cap space. They're finally out from under the Petrie deal. Ottawa, sounds like they want a veteran guy to jump into their top 4 to join the Sanderson, Shabbats, and I'm missing someone else's of the world. Like Hamonic.
Zub
for sure. And then finally, he lays out Philadelphia as a place. Ristolainen's pec tear might keep him out for a bit of time next year. Is Philly ready to step forward here? They've had a bunch of first high picks that are going to be already in their lineup with Lachenko, Mishkov, and now whoever they're picking high this year. Are they ready to step out of the rebuild? I don't know. There's also other places that would fit. I look at Toronto as a place that the GM knows them. I don't know what a Toronto-Calgary deal looks like, but safe to say there's a lot of teams interested in a right-shot defenseman making $4.5 million who comfortably plays in your top 4.
It's crazy that something like Rasmus to Toronto, that'd be so far down there. Well, there's Marner, Tavares, Nyes. I mean, we'll get to a top 4 defenseman when we get there. I don't know. The Dallas one is interesting on many scales. They need a coach,
and they're in the window right now.
3 straight finals, all of that sort of thing.
Like, it's time for Dallas. It's not a wait. We got a kid come. No, like it's now or never if you're going to win with this group in Dallas.
Using your GM hat, right? And I don't know if it has any bearing, but you would feel like if it's Dallas, maybe there's some urgency there to get a little more out of a team that's potentially desperate than, say, Columbus. We'd like to have some depth. We'd like Ottawa. We'd like to have a right shot guy. Whereas maybe in Dallas, it's a little tight.
Maybe. Don't get Chris Tanev if you deal with him again, though. That one, they didn't seem too desperate. They got him.
Wouldn't be one of those things where you'd be doing a sign and trade. I
don't think so.
Don't think you'd be.
And then, of course, the other option is, okay, draft is on the 28th.
Yeah.
27th, 28th, Friday, Saturday, whatever it is. Do you try to use him as capital to move up in this year's draft class to get into a neighborhood where you can find a guy that projects to be a top 2 center? Do you try to stockpile 26 picks? Are you taking him into this season and saying, like you did last year, like, hey, let's just watch the group and let them decide? And then he's going to be worth a ton at the deadline if he's playing well. That feels like there's a little more risk there. There's injury. There's what if he's not playing great? Or are you trying to make room for Perret because you've already got him penned in there? There's when this happens and how this happens, if it does, is intriguing.
It'd be one of those things. My guess would be, and we can move on because we don't talk about it. Around the horn in the Flames office, you would have an idea of what kind of a trade in terms of assets or return would make you happy for a Rasmus Andersson deal. And if you don't get it right now,
no rush,
either before the draft or after.
I think the shopping list should be first rounder, player, prospect. And that was kind of the shopping list they went to Elias Lindholm with. They got more than that from Vancouver because Vancouver wanted to get ahead of the deadline. We were in All-Star weekend in Toronto when that one broke. And it's like,
it feels like a lot to me, but I mean, that's what you'd love it.
And you're not selling for 2 months, right? Like we always think about the Hannafin and the Tanev deals. Like you're renting a guy.
Sure.
This is a full year at a great cap hit. Teams that are up against it. Oh shit, this is amazing. We go to free agency to try to buy this kind of player. It's $8-9 million.
Yeah.
We'll see. Game 4 is tonight. We've told you that. We've talked about it. The Oilers are making some changes. Stetcher's in. Klimberg's out. Jeff Skinner's in. Stuart Skinner's in. And that means Arvidsson will come out. Cal Pickard got to play practice in the starters net this morning.
Look at Bouchard giving the stink up.
Hey, buddies. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.